This is a Dandytini rather than a Dandytini cooler. Very, very similar, but I'm using something that I've made at home. So the dandelion root coffee, this is dandelion root infused vodka, and it infuses really, really quickly. The ideal is you put about 200 grams of dandelion root in the bottom of a jar and add half a litre of vodka and leave it for 2 to 3 weeks. But actually, within a week, it's usually strong enough. It's got absolutely packed with flavour.
Is that fresh dandelion root, or have you roasted it enough when you do it?
Oh yes, roasted. Yeah. Oh, I always start with roasted. When it's fresh, it's full of inulin, which is great, but it's the same stuff that makes things fantastically bitter. Yeah. So fresh it's not great. You can eat it roasted as a vegetable, but yeah, raw it's a bit too overpowering. So the actual Dandytini coffee is made with 45 millilitres of the vodka infusion.
Another confession, my measure is an egg cup.
Whatever works for you. I would suggest, even if you don't know exactly how much your measure holds, as long as you're consistent with it, then it's okay, because you get to know what you like and then you do it the same all the time. Yes, so 30 millilitres of the coffee. Now I'm actually using chilled. You can put hot, freshly made coffee into this because you're putting the ice in it and shaking it, so you can get away with doing it chilled or hot. A pinch of salt again. There's going to be lots of salt on the floor around here. Another 20 ml of simple syrup to sweeten it. I should say the cooler that I made and put into the coupe glass, you can actually use a tall glass and fill it with ice to make it a longer drink, which some people prefer. That's everything for there, so I need to get some more ice in there. So shake for 10 to 15 seconds again. That's getting uncomfortable and cold. So I'm going to do the same as before and strain the ice out. And get rid of the ice. Yeah, and as you saw, Bob, the alcohol-free version, it still foams up quite well. But as you saw, without the egg, it foams up quite well. With the egg, it foams up fantastically, as you saw it all overflowing. With the alcohol version, it actually foams up a little bit less. I think it's just the alcohol has an effect on the contents. You're not drinking alcohol, are you, Bob? Right, okay, so it doesn't matter if I add egg to this one. So back in the mixer, in with the egg white.
Just enjoy everyone else enjoying it.
And the dry shake again to try and get some foam on there. And I'm going to use the coupe again. Spritz of lemon. And that is Dandytini. I think you can see the difference between that and the alcohol-free version, as you've got much thicker foam on the alcohol-free and just a nice level fill-in on this one. Okay, so the next cocktail I've got for you is called the Stinging Nettle Daiquiri. I mentioned daiquiris earlier, really, really simple to make. So Stinging Nettle Daiquiri, I'll just sort out my ingredients. We're going to need some white rum. Other brands are available. We're going to need some stinging nettle cordial and some lime juice. Really, really simple. It's the same theory as I told you about the 2, 1 and 1. So we're going to take a cocktail mixer. We want a large jigger for the white rum. If you go to a hot country and ask for a daiquiri, you'll probably get a frozen daiquiri. If you ask for one in the UK, the chances are you'll get one like this. I think it's just automatically assumed if you're in a hot country, you're going to want a frozen drink. Incidentally, Ernest Hemingway's favourite drink was a daiquiri when he was in Cuba, which kind of speaks to the confusion over where a daiquiri comes from. There's arguments. Some people think it comes from certain southern states of America. Some people think Cuba, and other people think Spain. I guess it depends where you come from. Anyway, so that's the rum, the stinging nettle cordial and lime juice in there. I'm just going to add some ice. Daiquiri is one of the simplest cocktails to make. Into the shaker. So that's it, fully mixed. And because I'm lazy, I'm not going to use a strainer. It's as simple as that. There's a stinging nettle daiquiri. Now you can use a little bit of lime. I tend to not spray the lime oils on a daiquiri, especially not if I'm putting something like stinging nettle cordial in it, because it can make it a little bit overpowering. What I do like to do instead is I've fried some stinging nettle leaves to make crisps, and then I've taken some and soaked them in sugar and citric acid. So I use that instead. You know the taste of the sweets Tangfastics? Yeah, they're using a little bit of citric acid with the sugar in that, just gives it a real good zing. It feels like it's what you'd imagine a stinging nettle should feel like if you're eating it, but obviously they don't really. So that's a stinging nettle daiquiri, dead simple. Has anyone had a go at making stinging nettle cordial yet? Yeah, simplest thing in the world. Boil up some stinging nettles for 15 minutes, strain out as much liquid as you can, measure the liquid, add the same amount of sugar, reheat it to dissolve the sugar, and that's it, job done. You've got stinging nettle syrup. Add a little bit of lemon juice or citric acid and you've got stinging nettle cordial. And once you've got it bottled, it'll keep in the fridge for up to 3 months. And you can freeze it as well. I make tons of this stuff and freeze it in advance so that I've got it all year round. But the great thing about stinging nettle cordial is you can use any part of the plant any time of the year, because when you've finished boiling it up, you're going to discard the plant material. So it's perfectly safe to make all year round. And if you get it at the right time, it gives this lovely red colour to it as well. So that's a stinging nettle daiquiri. So this is a stinging nettle spritzer, really simple one. We're going to use 25 ml of cordial. We're going to use 20 ml of lime. I'm actually going to stir this one rather than shake it because everything that I brought with me is already cooled. So obviously you can just use a spoon, you don't need a fancy glass stirrer. It's just that these are much easier to clean and they look fancy. So I'm just going to stir that and fill the glass with ice. And the mixture goes over the ice. And we top it up with soda water. Another stir to make sure it's all nicely mixed up. And it really is as simple as that. Stinging nettle cordial, lime juice, ice and soda water. Really refreshing, lovely flavour, and you can of course garnish it with a bit of candied stinging nettle leaf as well. Dead simple to make. Right, so we've had one of each cocktails and mocktails. Time's getting on. What I'm thinking is I think we've got time for one more cocktail. So I'm going to let you have the choice. There's 5 of you, so there can't be a draw. So the first one is called a Gold Fashioned. It's based on an old fashioned, so it's whiskey based, but with lots of dandelion influences in it. And not that I want to influence you at all, but it's my favourite. And the other one is one I've made from scratch called the Powys, because all the ingredients actually came from very, very locally, and it's one that I've made out of nothing. It's not based on anything else. It's the flavours in it are vermouth, elderflower and fennel.
I reckon it would be nice to go for Powys.
Well, I feel like that, but then
Yeah.
I also feel slightly drawn because it's your favourite, the other one. It's a hard decision, but I think Powys.
That was one that you've made up. It sounds, it's
I'm
good
intrigued.
treat.
There we go. I think that's decision made. We'll go for the Powys, and if there's time, I'll squeeze in a Gold Fashioned as well. So Powys, I've mentioned we need vermouth. We also need fennel vodka. So this was fennel's quite unusual to find so far inland, but I actually found it not far from here, growing out of the roadside verge, but nice and high up. So infused in vodka. Because fennel has such a powerful flavour, this is just the leaves, it infused in, you could probably get away with a day or 2. This was in for a week. It's absolutely tons and tons of flavour in it. What else do we have in there? There's elderflower cordial. So again, homemade elderflower cordial. This one came from the bottom of my garden. Need lemon juice. So there's some lemon juice that I've made up. So, start with the fennel vodka. Need 45 of that. That's a 50, so we'll use that. Need 20 of the dry vermouth. This is extra dry, just because I like it extra dry. I can really smell that aniseed from the fennel just from here. 15 of elderflower cordial. And 10 of lemon. So not much lemon juice in this one. And again, ice. Oh, it's really powerful smell. I love the smell of aniseed. In the shaker. It's nice and cold. I'm just going to use my strainer because I'm aware that I haven't even used it yet. And a little bit of lemon for this one because it goes so well with elderflower. That is the Powys.
Beautiful.
Would be a nice aperitif. It gets the juice of like, the saliva going.
Yeah, yeah, because you've got the sourness of the lemon and you've got the bitterness of the vermouth as well, and obviously some bitterness in the vodka. So yeah, good aperitif.
So
I used 1 litre jars and I packed it about 3/4 full of fennel leaves and then a litre of vodka on top. Leave it to infuse for a week.
Right, okay.
And the great thing is, yeah, I mean, if you can't find wild fennel, you can grow it in your garden.
Yeah.
Or if you really want to cheat, you can buy it from the shop. No. Obviously there's quite a lot of sugar in the elderflower cordial, but there's only a little bit of cordial goes into the drink, so it's quite a low sugar drink. Right, so we're about there, but I reckon we could squeeze in a gold fashioned if I'm quick about it, and it doesn't require any shaking. It's actually really simple. So the classic old fashioned is a whiskey based cocktail, and there's lots of arguments about where it came from and how it originally was made, but the one that I like to believe is that you put a sugar cube in the bottom of your glass and drip in bitters until the sugar cube's full up and starts to dissolve. Then you add your whiskey, stir it, and then pour it into another glass over ice. Simple as that. That's how they say it was made. And I said I was going to get back to bitters, didn't I? So
where do you buy bitters?
well, bitters, there's the thing. The classic bitters is Angostura bitters. That's the one that everyone knows. It is really quite dark and bitter. Just as a slight aside, apparently the reason Angostura bitters have this silly label that doesn't fit is because they entered a competition, a bitters competition, and it was 2 people, brothers maybe, I think, were working together. One was working on the bitters and the glass, and the other one went away to make the label.
Oh dear.
And they came together on the day of the competition, and the label didn't fit. But it became their thing. They were known as, they've got that label that doesn't fit on the bottle. So it stayed like that ever since for over 100 years. So that's Angostura bitters.
So can you buy that in the supermarket?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now, Angostura bitters is really thick, dark and bitter. It's got complex notes in it. There's an alternative that you can get. This one's called Peychaud's bitters. This is it's more unusual. You go to a specialist shop or buy it online. And this has got a really citrusy, aniseedy flavour to it. See that lovely red colour?
And the label that fits.
Yeah, exactly. You've got specialist makers. This is wild Scottish bitters, which I've tried and it actually isn't very bitter, but it's all right for adding a different flavour. And there is another one here somewhere. Oh, this was Buck and Birch, and they've made their bitters into a spray. So similar to the oil, you can just spray it over the top of the glass. I forgot to mention that before as well, actually. You can actually, if you're not serving people that don't have alcohol, you can actually just infuse your citrus skins into vodka and put them into little spray bottles like that. So it's a bit quicker. You just spray it over the glass instead of having to twist bits of citrus peel over it. Yeah, so
You could keep that then, couldn't you? Because that you would.
yeah,
It would just keep as long as.
yeah, absolutely. So the unused bits of these are going into vodka to become infusions to make spritzers for me. But if you weren't going to do that, then yeah, all this pre-made stuff goes to waste, doesn't it? But yeah, once it's in a spray bottle, it keeps indefinitely, really. Yeah, so that's how it's made. That's a quick rundown of bitters. Now, I've just substituted a few different things in this one. So what I've got is, this is dandelion flower honey, made with dandelion flowers, sugar and water. It's a vegan equivalent of honey, basically. And this is dandelion leaf bitters. So this is dandelion leaves and flower stems soaked in vodka until they really, really infuse. And you know how bitter flower stems and the central mid-vein of dandelion leaves can be. So this has got really, really bitter. So it's made from dandelions, basically, which is why it's called the gold fashioned. And because of where we are, obviously need to use good Welsh whiskey in it. It's really simple to make. I didn't mention this before when I was talking about equipment. Sometimes in cocktail recipes, they'll talk about using a mixing glass. A mixing glass is whatever other glass you've got laying around. It's not a special thing at all. It's just a glass. So what we're going to do is, to get it ready, I'm going to use 10 ml of honey. What I'm going to do is leave it in the jigger for now though, because it's quite thick. Then I'm going to add a dash of bitters, and then that's going to go into the mixing glass. I want about 50ml of whiskey. What I'm going to do to get the most of the honey out is I'm actually going to use this small jigger with the whiskey though. It's 50ml of lovely Welsh whiskey. I'm just going to mix that. So the honey and the bitters will mix nicely, and the whiskey will start to dilute it. I've got a nice rocks glass, and an extra bit of kit that you can get, you don't necessarily need to, is you can get these really funky ice cube trays. You can get ones that make spheres of ice as well. But this one just makes massive cubes, which just fit into my rocks glass. You'd think I'd practice this, wouldn't you? It fits so perfectly. Then having stirred, pour over the ice. And this one, slightly different, we use orange peel for the flavour on this. And then the orange peel goes in the glass. And there is a gold fashioned.